story that we brought you last week here on Get Up that has massive implications for both the NFL and college football. We talked about this at length on Thursday, and now it is here. The Browns are waiving tight end Dae'Quan Wright, and assuming he clears waivers, he has an agreement in place to play for LSU this season. He is now on the verge of becoming the first player to go from an NFL team to returning to play college football. He played in college for Lane Kiffin at Ole Miss. Lane Kiffin is now at LSU. Dae'Quan Wright now has an agreement in place to go play at LSU. It is happening. We talked about this. We told you it was coming last week. NFL players, there's a ruling that was made by a judge. It's a long, convoluted explanation of how we got here. I won't bore you with the details. The bottom line is Dae'Quan Wright, who since, May, has been working with an NFL team, lining up with and against players in their 20s and 30s, is probably a week from now going to be playing against someone who was in high school last year. How do we feel about it, Dan?
The old man in me doesn't love any part of this, but the floodgates are going to open. This is the first, it will not be the last of this situation. But I can't kill Dae'Quan Wright for going back and getting more money than he might in the NFL and continuing that opportunity. I can't kill Lane Kiffin for taking a player that he thinks is going to help him win. This is what happens when you have severe poor leadership over a long period of time that takes advantage of situations. Players have been the driving force of the income in college football for a long time. We all know that they have not benefited from the revenue that they've generated, and it's just become this wild, wild west of an open can. I don't understand what happens if I am X team and I draft a kid that played college football for 3 years, and I take him in the second round. And after 2 years, he goes, this is not working out for me. I'm going back to play college football. Do I get my pick back? Do I get the money that I've given you back? Because that will happen. That is the next step where a draft pick, it doesn't work out. He goes back to make more money.
We went through this in detail on Thursday. There are any number of ways in which a player in his position probably will make more money in college than he would as an NFL player, and it's guaranteed, and he has the opportunity to then increase his status, his stature, his position, and come back and try again in another year.
Yeah, the college sports situation is, to Dan's point, there's been some certainly poor leadership, but a refusal to accept the truth. And we're still in this situation that they are a business. And that's the reason why we're in this situation. If at some point they accept that they are a business which has employees, allow those employees to unionize, they can then collectively bargain some sort of constraints on this system. They refuse to do that. I would say that they're putting their head in the sand, but they're not even doing that. They're just trying to hold on to this system for as long as they possibly can. And while they continue to do it, it will continue to get bastardized to the point where we, as old men and young men, are like, this is not what we wanted. And again, it's nothing against Dae'Quan or the players or anyone who's operating within this broken system. It all falls on the fact that the colleges, the college presidents, the NCAA, and the conferences are in a position where they refuse to accept that you guys are playing professional football. And once you do that, then you can figure out how to set some parameters around it and not ask for the U.S. government or anybody else to step in.
Yeah, they denied and fought against the inevitable for a long time and spent no time on, well, how would it work when it ultimately does happen? I'm curious from the NFL side of this, what the league does. Do you have to start factoring in signability when you draft a guy? You know, the way you did before the rookie wage scale at the top of the draft. Do you have to start writing rookie contracts differently to prohibit, these kinds of things? This is the kind of thing that now that it's happened will be talked about at owners' meetings and in league offices, and they're going to have to figure out some way to sort of, I don't know whether to say guard against this, but to your point, Dan, protect yourself in terms of, did I spend the pick on this guy and then I don't have him?
I also, just from a fan of college football perspective, I feel like, at what point does this start to turn fans away or people who love college football away? Because I feel like every time I hear about college football nowadays, it has something to do with some injunction, some court case, some ruling. And that was never the case. And I don't know if that's going to start to turn fans away or sour them to it.
After the first
I was
kickoff,
about to say the same thing.
After the first kickoff,
I don't know.
you're going to be done with it.
My gut feeling, neither of us can prove what we're saying, but we're on the same page.
Yeah.
The moment the ball was kicked off in the first game, the LSU fans, you think they're really worried about this? I mean, they just want their team to win.
The one thing that does jump out to me, and this obviously everyone knows that I'm deeply rooted in union work. It's something I care a lot about, is the idea that these players are worth this amount in college and they're not in the NFL. The idea that you can be a professional athlete and get paid less than the college athletes, to me, exposes the fact that you aren't paying the pros as much as they deserve. But a guy can't be worth $15 million to LSU and worth $800,000 to the Browns. That's wrong also.
But don't
the problem would solve itself if the decision was much more obvious. You know what?
Yeah.
To get to the top league, I actually get paid more to be in the top league than to be into the lesser league.
The NFL has ownership. Each individual team has an individual owner, where in college football it doesn't.
I have to take a break on this. As usual, this is one that has a million layers. We're going to get Paul Finebaum in, and we will set us
out with the Browns QB battle. Add this to the headlines coming out of Cleveland. The Browns waive former Ole Miss tight end Dae'Quan Wright, and what makes it newsworthy is that Wright has agreed to play for LSU in 2026. His agents told Adam Schefter that would reunite him with his former head coach Lane Kiffin and would make him the first player to return to college after signing a undrafted free agent NFL contract. Pete Thamel, can you explain this more for us, please?
For a handful of years now, the SEC has barred players from transferring from one conference institution to another. Dae'Quan Wright would seemingly fall under this bylaw. As of Friday, no one was quite certain if the ruling of in-state court in Louisiana allowed the SEC to enforce the bylaw or if the ruling encompassed it. So that determination will likely be made in the next few days. Don't expect the SEC to do anything until Wright officially clears waivers, officially signs with LSU, and the steps in the process move forward. There's been discussions now for more than a week with the SEC, with SEC presidents, athletic directors, and members about whether or not this bylaw should be enforced. Coincidentally, SEC ADs and presidents are meeting this week. This topic will surely come up, and as usual, it will be a hot one.
It's going to come up right now with college football analyst Paul Finebaum joining the program. Paul, great to see you. What's your reaction to the story we just heard?
Yeah, Gary, put all the law books away, the professors. This can simply be summed up in two words: Lane Kiffin. Even though that's not really the answer, that's who everyone should blame, because only Lane Kiffin can shatter every single norm in college football history. I won't go back to last year, but everybody knows what happened. This is a confusing, complex situation, as Pete said, but the idea that somebody would want to walk off an NFL franchise, even the Cleveland Browns, I mean, I know that's the bottom of the barrel. To go back to college is simply indescribable. Every norm has been shattered. I am out of words, but here we go again in college football.
Quick follow-up, Paul. Do you like a player's ability to be able to do that, be in an NFL camp and then not make the team, not like the team, not like the situation, and then become then a college athlete again?
It's outrageous. And the SEC has a rule that you can't go. It's too long to explain. But I'm really interested in what the SEC has to say about this, Gary. They have been stone quiet because they know the legal quagmires that are ahead here, but they still should do something and do something quickly.
Okay, we'll stay in the SEC. Keelan Russell actually named the starting quarterback for Alabama over the weekend. What can we expect from Russell and the Crimson Tide this season?
Now, if you're an Alabama fan in Tuscaloosa, you're expecting championships because this is your guy. This is the best quarterback per rating that has ever gone to Alabama. I need to remind the audience that Joe Namath and Bart Starr and Tua Tagovailoa and Bryce Young, yes, you've heard of all of them. But Keelan Russell, on paper, looks fantastic. It shows that Kalen DeBoer is going to quit playing around, quit playing games. Austin Mack had come with him from Washington 3 or 4 years ago. Keelan Russell will struggle early on, but Alabama has a smooth path. They should be 5-0 going into the Georgia game in October, and Alabama fans have not been happier in a while about this particular thing.
Okay, yeah, Alabama opens the season at home versus East Carolina, that on September 5th. Another quarterback ready to go this weekend, Billy Edwards Jr. for North Carolina. He will be the starter for Bill Belichick's Tar Heels. How can Edwards and North Carolina turn this thing around after going 4-8 last year?
Well, Edwards needs to stay healthy, but he has an advantage they didn't have last year, and that's Bobby Petrino. Remember, the coach who's been everywhere in the NFL and in college football is now the coordinator for Bill Belichick. I still don't think Edwards is going to be enough, though. The schedule is insanely brutal, starting this weekend with TCU. There are so many landmines, and I think a 500 record for Edwards and Belichick would be considered okay. I'm not sure they're going to get there.
We're going to get our answer soon. UNC opens the college football season this Saturday in Ireland versus TCU, noon Eastern on ESPN. Paul Finebaum, nobody better than you. Thank you, sir.